Walmart closing 6 locations, Walgreens, Starbucks closing several locations, Party Central, Foot Locker, CVS, GameStop, Advance Auto Parts closing.
1 in 4 people drives for a living. When driving goes away, the world collapses.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to this version of Eye of the Storm Conversation with Friends. And I brought in the homie Ray Abrams, a friend of mine for many, many years, going back to my music career. But that's a whole nother topic, right? So y'all know how this conversation with friends go. It's things that I have on my mind, and I like talking to my friends about it, especially people that are well-versed and bring great insight. And then instead of us having this conversation on the phone, I'm like, you know what, let's bring it to the people. Let's bring it to the public. Let them hear it. And let's take all this information and let's make this like a nice round table of information that people could walk away with and hopefully do something about it. Now, this one is about all the jobs that are about to be lost going out of 2024, coming into 2025. And now that these jobs are gone, the amount of people that's going to be unemployed, these same people pay bills, they pay rent. How is that going to impact housing? How's that going to impact the areas where they're living? Most of these people come from areas where their gentrification has been going on. We know gentrification was able to blossom and grow due to job growth, bringing down the crime rate, jobs coming in. But you take these jobs away from the areas, now the crime most likely will go back up. These new people who moved into the areas, my opinion is they're going to be meat for the wolves. That's my thought about it. So, like I said, Ray, let the people know who you are, and I'm going to give them the breakdown of all the jobs. Matter of fact, before you give that breakdown, let me go through the jobs. Let me just let them know what we're starting with. So the job closing for 2025, this is a must we get into. Macy's is closing 65 locations by the end of 2024, which, as of this recording, is next week. Walmart is closing 6 locations so far. Walgreens, Staples stores, my guy, closing 1,200 stores are closing. By the end of 2027, they're closing 500 for next year, and by the end of 2027, there will be 1,200 stores closed. Starbucks, staples of Starbucks, closing several locations. Dollar Tree is closing, period. Office Depot, closing all stores. Party Central, shutting down, permanently closing after 40 years. Foot Locker is closing over 400 locations. CVS, pharmaceutical giant, is closing hundreds of stores by 2025. Sears is closing its last remaining stores. GameStop is closing many locations. Advance Auto Parts closing several locations. Ray, talk to the people. Tell them who you are. We're going to talk about this. Let's get into it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, Storm. As you mentioned, we've been knowing each other a long time, back from the music business, even through the technology boom and still boom. I was going to say boom and bust. It boomed and busted, and it is booming again, which I think is a large part of what we're getting ready to talk to, is how technology, as Mark Andreessen said, back in 1992, technology is eating the world, or software. I think where software is going to eat the world, and we're starting to see it now. We've seen it, but now it's starting to creep off the computer screens and start really affecting the real world. We saw it starting in the 90s with ATMs, with tellers, right? Banks are simply open, I think, because there's a law that says, they have to have like a door. So they have like one person in the bank now. And we're starting to see that with not doctors, but with, banks, with a lot of places where we used to go in, where a lot of jobs, the tellers at stores, starting to go away. Remember, you used to be able to get somebody to help you. You walk into a store and someone would say, "Hey, sir, hi, sir, may I help you with something?" And now those days have gone away. So the reality is that I think we can say Amazon won, right? They just won. They beat the whole world with their model of, you can get something less expensively. You can get something less expensively uh, through Amazon and
Yeah.
have it delivered to your door as opposed to paying more and having to go into a store to buy it. Shopping has become more of a social activity than
Wow.
something you have to do to get anything. And it's been like that for 10 years. And I think that was accelerated during the pandemic when people started to really change their behavior as a group and started to say, hey, this is cool. A lot of people who had never ordered anything online. I know there was a while where there were certain things I wouldn't order online. I wouldn't order food. You had to, right? It got to a point where if you want, the restaurants weren't opening their doors, it was delivery only. And so you got used to it. You say, oh, it's okay. It's not too bad. And so, that has carried over. And so a lot of those stores now that depended on foot traffic are saying, hey, we're spending, $10 a square foot to rent this building. We can save that money and just go straight online.
So
Um,
people, so what you're saying, Ray, which I agree 1000%. COVID kind of laid out the test model to see
mhm.
could this thing grow and work on a large scale, right? Across the world. And actually it showed it could. It actually showed it being that this could be profitable. It actually groomed us and taught us to do something different. So now you made great valid points on the direction of what it is. So let's talk about something else along the lines of that. With these jobs closing, for me, I've been saying for a long time, just out loud and to myself, one of the main reasons I sold 31 of my properties is
Okay.
because they are in areas that grew dependent of these type of jobs. And
Mm,
last year was a year where I lost $100,000 in money in real estate. That has never happened. I've been in real estate since 1999, buying my first property and buying out of state for almost 10 years. But what happened was when COVID hit, most of these kind of jobs were jeopardized. And now I'm sitting there, got to sympathize with them, and work with people because they don't have a job, but the banks ain't working with us with our mortgages for us not to pay these mortgages. And I
right.
said to myself, this shit ain't cool. Now, once the courts were backed up, and when people were able to go back to work, the people
Mhm.
with jobs got their jobs. They said, shit, I ain't pay you in this long. I don't plan on paying you now because the courts were so backed up. They had a year, 2 years worth of not paying you rent, keeping that money. And a lot of them just said, you know what? I'm going to move. So a lot of landlords, and I know many of them, and I'm talking all types of landlord friendly states, they were not immune to what happened. So
Yeah.
I said to myself recently, I said, you know what, Storm? If you see jobs going the way that they're going, and now this is a prime example of showing everybody, of people witnessing for themselves, these corporations don't need us. What they needed was time to build out a better business model on how technology would take over. Now, this business model is created, thousands of jobs are going to be gone. And what does that speak for landlords? And all my landlords out there, you need to be evaluating what the next 5 to 10 years look like. What does your area consist of people who paying you rent? And I said to myself, I'm selling all of these properties because programs are going to be the dominant thing. All of these people losing jobs, what you think they're going to get on? Some kind of program, some
They
kind of
gonna
housing program, some kind of government program, some kind of subsidized. And it's a reason why big corporations were buying all of these homes. Because when the government says we're going to start paying a rent for hundreds of thousands of people, they're going to reach out to BlackRock and Vanguard and say, well, you know what? We need 100,000 houses. Who got it? We're going to pay the rent directly to you. And now they're going to be getting guaranteed rent from these tenants. And I didn't want to be involved in the housing in these areas anymore. So that's why I sold 31 properties. But real quick, also, Ray, what does that impact look like for crime?
Oh God. I think just whenever the economy is bad, crime goes up. I mean, people got to eat. You tell somebody they can't eat, they're gonna do what they got to do. And so as the economy starts to get worse, People are going to eat. But I'm optimistic only because
Oh, yeah, this is where me and Ray, when he get optimistic, I'll be
I'm,
that guy on the other side. But go ahead, Ray, let's do it. Let's do
I'm,
it. This is
I'm,
why we here.
there's always reason for optimism as long as we have breath in our lungs, right? That's what I look at it. And there's opportunity, right? So where one door closes, a window opens. So the hustlers, right? The challenge was in the 90s, 80s, 90s, right? When the economy got bad before, there weren't any opportunities, right? You're 19 years old and you don't have a college degree, you don't have a high school degree, you 10th grade dropout, right? In Brooklyn, right? 10th grade dropout in Brooklyn. What you gonna do? Legal and make $100,000, right? But today, you're a 19-year-old 10th grade dropout. Can you make $100,000? Yeah, and so there are opportunities.
Examples, though. No, you can't leave that like that. How? You got to
Well,
give examples
absolutely.
because you got a
There's
19-year-old right now
yeah,
listening to
you
you.
you can
Tell
you
me
can
how.
set up your own. You can set up because now there's no stores, right? There's no party city. You can sell freaking balloons out of your apartment, right? Out in front of your house, right? You need balloons, like the old Candy Lady back when we were coming up, right? Candy Lady. You can sell balloons. You can sell Halloween costumes, right? Online. You set up a Wix site and sell Halloween costumes with a little bit of investment. Matter of fact, you don't need much investment at all. You can just resell from Amazon. And so, I think that
So
if
you
you
want
are,
them, you want them to buy from the plug and sell when people could get directly to the plug themselves.
yes, because people are always going to need, I think, just like drugs, right? You could get
Drugs
drugs
and Amazon is two different things, but go ahead.
in a way, but in a way not, right? If you need it, you can get it, right? But you need somebody to curate it to make sure that it's good, to make sure that it is there somebody a trusted advisor, right? So you can be a trusted advisor in this space, just like we've done, for dozens of years. It just was really hard to do because you had to buy a lot of inventory. That was a stopper. You had to have space. If you wanted to be an entrepreneur in the 90s, you had to have a storefront. You had to have, warehouse. You had to have $100,000 worth of inventory. Um, Now, all you need is a website, a $10 website that you can curate and sell things. You don't even have to have your own website. You can do it
No,
through
I got to
Amazon.
push back again. I
Okay,
got
sure.
I got to push back, right?
Go ahead.
See, when we keep thinking in our era, and I had this conversation with a good friend of mine, we fail to see what the next generations after us, like between me and you, there are three generations after us,
Sure.
right? There's there's like the 30-year-olds, there's the 20-year-olds, then there's the teens. So when you say words like website, you're talking about our generation. The generations after us are not going to no websites.
Okay.
They're on their devices. They're not typing in www. They're not clicking apps. They're going straight into Amazon's. They're going straight into, so, creating a website, building a website. Me personally, I don't believe that exists anymore. That
Mm.
that's not a driving force to sell if you're not a known brand where people are gonna go look for you. Like if you're known, they're gonna go, oh man, Ray, I'm going to rayabrams.com. But if they
Mhm.
want to go look for something, they're going to type in balloons, they're going to type in event space, they're going to type in the product. And most likely, winning that ad space is Amazon, is the
Good.
eBay, is
Okay.
those. So
Nice.
I don't see you standing a chance. That's just my opinion when we start thinking like that. Like for me, it always leads to what is that next generation doing? Not what I'm doing and not what I do.
Mhm.
So when I see the jobs are gone and I see the crime is going up, and I hate to be thinking dystopic or anything, but I feel like the door's closed because the opportunities that were there to be able to do the things that you're saying, which I agreed with once upon a time, But I think we're so far, technology and everything is so far ahead that the people who were able to do those things were us. We were the ones who was getting up off our ass going, yo, we gonna go do this, we gonna do that. And now we think they got the same, we think they can do the same because they might have the same drive, but they don't have the same places. When we couldn't find, when we wanted a job, we would go to the chief. Those who remember the paper, the chief, we would
Mhm.
go to the actual stores to go to jobs. We would go fill out applications. Those things don't exist no more. Going to
Right.
people look for work, want ads, going down to the stores and going, I'm gonna fill out an application that doesn't exist no more. Having those connections with nepotism with somebody in the family or somebody. So my thing is just like buying real estate. We had opportunity to buy real estate very cheap, like not cheap, but cheaper than what it is now. And our salaries could have got us a single family home, a duplex. One person salary could have supplied the household. They don't have that opportunity. They're not paying that much. They don't have pensions. So how do we tell that generation to get tough, scrap up your boots, go become resourceful when all the resources are not there like it was for us?
Yeah. No, you are right. I do agree with that. Like I said, when I say I'm optimistic, I do think there will be a class of people who will figure it out. And maybe it's not websites, maybe it's something else, maybe something we haven't even thought of yet or invented yet. That the aggressive, the intelligent, the hustlers, and that's my point, is the hustlers are going to hustle. And
Woo, Ray, you doing it to me. Keep going, Ray.
yeah, the hustler is going to hustle, right? And no matter what the technology is, no matter what the product is, they'll find a way to make a living at it. And my hope is that now there are more legal ways, like, and not that everybody's going to do it. Don't get me wrong, but I think that when we were coming up, it was literally impossible to make a living if you didn't pretty much work for somebody or got enough money to start a job. You couldn't start a company, like you have, like a real estate company without a whole lot of money. You could work a few years, save a few dollars, and buy that lifestyle that you and I live was impossible. 30 years ago. And so it's possible now. And I'm optimistic that there will be a number of young people who take advantage of it. But to your point of how do we get through, right? Because a lot of people aren't. That's the top 10% who are going to make it no matter what. The reality is, jobs as we know it, the world as we know it is going away. The whole world, right? And we're not talking about it because nobody even has language for it. Like how do you even describe that? How do you talk about a world in 10 years that nobody can even imagine? A world without work, right? And this is the interesting thing. The conundrum is we built all these machines. I mean, even from the washing machine to the dishwasher to the car, right? So that we wouldn't have to work. However, if
Mm.
you have a world where you don't work, what do you do? And so I heard a quote recently. I'm going to give it to uh, Mark Andreessen, but I can't remember. It might have been Sam Altman who said, the biggest risk to this next generation is not not having a job. It's about not having purpose, right? Right. Work, no matter what it is, gives life meaning. And in a world where there's no work, right? No matter how you feed yourself, how you put a roof over your head, how do you find purpose? What gives you reason to get up in the morning if you don't have anything to do? We may be getting to a good place. Now, human nature will fight that. Human nature tends to want to say, my ego, right? Because that's a world without ego. If you can say my ego, I don't have an ego as long as I have food in my belly. If my belly's full, my gas tank is full, and I got a roof over my head, life is good. That's all I need. But the ego says no, because your neighbor has two cars, the neighbor has 4 bedrooms, you only have 3 bedrooms. And so that's the problem we have to get around more than anything else.
All right. All right. So here's a couple of other things that you mentioned I want to talk about, right? I love the fact that Ray, you talk so wholesome, right? Because I guess we need that wholesome perspective because I'm real brash and I really don't see no way out of the light down the end of the tunnel. You know the saying, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, meaning you're finally getting ready to come out the darkness. But that light at the end of the tunnel may actually be a train.
There's a train.
It's a train coming at you, getting ready to bowl you over, right? So the evolution of what media and everything has done to these next generation has lulled them into a sleep and has created a me generation. So when you said key thing, you said, well, we were hustlers. We were hustlers. You know why? We grew up around hustlers. We knew hustlers. Hustlers gave birth to us. That was
Right.
our time. So all we knew was don't bitch and moan, go get it.
Go get it.
Now let's talk about this generation. Our generation also was the hustlers where we did do illegal stuff, drugs. Yeah, I wasn't in the drug selling, but I was on the digital asset side, the cell phones. I was part of a conglomerate who helped create free nights and weekends on cell phones. You feel
Right.
me? Like
Right.
I was part of that conglomerate who changed the world of what cell phone are like, being able to have cell phones randomly available for the low of damn near nothing.
Yep.
That was my side of it, right? But think, we also was giving birth to the next generations by saying things like, I don't want my children to have to go through what I went through. To me, that's one of the phrases that helped cripple us, because there came a point where my grandfather, he cut down trees. He didn't know how to read or write, gave birth to my father, who worked with my grandfather, cutting down trees, moving logs. At least my grandfather didn't go to school. My father at least went to school. He didn't finish going to school because he had to help my grandfather. Then my father, who barely had an education, met my mom's, who would help teach him how to read and write, coming from the South. And now I was fortunate to be able to go to school, get a full education, learn how to read and write, get a job, not like my dad who worked with his father. I got a job, worked for Verizon, pension, being able to start a business. Now, got exactly what my father wanted for me. My father wanted me to own real estate. He couldn't. I did. Now, I gave birth to children who now parent, had a great job, worked for Verizon, owned real estate. So now it's easier for them. Now, my children give birth to children who are too far away from the struggles of knowing that their great grandfather didn't go to school, cut down trees, didn't have an education, who knowing that their great great grandfather, you get what I'm saying? So now, and everything kept saying, and we all kept saying, even myself, I want my kids not to go through what I went through. What
Let me
the
just say, there's a quote you just, it's too good not to share.
heck?
Hard times make strong men. You heard this?
Yeah, I guess that's for the world. I heard it. Yeah.
Strong men make soft children.
Right. So now
Soft children bring about hard times.
Yes. So now when my children see the benefits of everything, and then I'm giving them everything based on what I got, now they giving birth to a child who looks at their parent got everything from me, and now they are softer. They didn't come from hustlers, is what I'm saying. So expecting them to be a hustler, to get up and go, it ain't gonna happen. Like a lot of them sit home, they chilling, they want to be entrepreneurs because they growing up around entrepreneurs. That's what they see, and they turn it on, seeing people becoming famous rappers by getting on YouTube, by doing this, by starting podcasts, by doing, and that's what they want to do. But all that stuff they want to do are not the thing that's going to create long-term wealth. It's a lot of vanity and vain. Social media has created that, right? So now that everybody is seeing this new wave, they forgetting that you still need people to run cables for electric. You still need people to lay sheetrock. Well, sheetrock is going away due to robotics. That's going to be a future. But you still need these positions of people to do this kind of laying tiles, doing this kind of craftsmanship, working those kind of jobs. And these kids are not thinking about doing that kind of work. So when shit hit the fan, they're not going to be able to figure it out because they didn't come from a parent who figured it out. They came from a parent who gave them everything. So a hustler's mentality, that's why I don't see it working. Another thing I want to give you back the floor. give you back the floor. Get your notes ready. I know that's my brother. I know he's ready. Social media would have never worked with us in our generation. Never would have worked. We were never the type to post and say where we were at, what
Oh
party
yeah.
we at, who we with, where we went, this how much money we got, this what we drive, this is what kind of way we getting money on the low. This is never. This social media, the most powerful thing that was created with social media was the follow button. That wasn't by mistake by calling it the follow button. You cannot create leaders from a generation of followers. All they know is follow, 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 follow. Social media, social media. Social media has created the me generation. It's about me. And I always like to harken back to this. We had our generations from Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street, those people were one generation away from slavery.
Yes.
One generation created a community where hardware stores, doctors, banks,
Yeah.
away from slavery, no athletes, didn't have millions of dollars. We have multi-million dollar, billion-dollar athletes today, and not one representation of what a Black Wall Street looks like. We don't have neighborhoods, we don't have schools, we don't have anything, but we had a generation of people who had no wealth and no money create a community that we talk about today. And this is the last thing. I always said if we could sit down with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and tell them we are generating trillions of dollars. We got multi-billion dollar athletes. We got we have media. We got movie outlets. We create our own this. We create this. We got all this as a Black people, all the things they work so hard for us to have. I think they would look back at us and say, show us our schools though. Take us to our banks, take us to our community, and what would we be able to say to them? The civil rights movement wasn't created to see who could be the highest paid athlete. Yeah.
Right. Well, part of it comes back to, integration, right? And was it successful? When I say was it successful, you know what I mean? Because the reason Black Wall Street was Black Wall Street is because they couldn't shop anywhere else, right? You couldn't bank, you couldn't go to school. My parents didn't go to college. I had a white friend asked me one time about why HBCUs were necessary. And I was like, because my parents could not go to school with your parents. I mean, legally, like here in Georgia, they did, I think it was Georgia Tech, shut down. Like they were like, a Black person got accepted, and the president of the school said there will be no classes until that person finds another school to call, and just shut the school down until what will happen, I hope, is that when there are no alternatives, right? When there are no jobs, humans are resilient. As Sam Altman says, civilization has a lot of inertia, right? We've been around a long time, hundreds of thousands of years. We've been through a lot of changes. This isn't the first one. We've survived a lot of stuff. We've survived, moving from hunter-gatherer to agrarian. We survived moving from agrarian to industrial. We survived so far moving from industrial to digital. This is a new generation, which we're not even really know what to call it. It's post-digital. It's the age of robotics and AI, and actually allowing the robots to do the things that we don't want to do, which can either free us to be our greater selves, or we'll descend into a chaos. What is scary to me is that we're not talking about it. It's almost as if we are, like a frog in the boiling water, right? And it's just getting warmer and getting, it's getting a little warmer here. The stores are closing. Nobody got a job. The person who lives to the left of me don't have a job. The person who lives to the right of me don't have a job. The person across the street don't have a job. I don't have a job. Maybe something's going on, and then it gets hotter and hotter and hotter until it's boiling over. And then so I suspect, unfortunately, that that's what's happening, because there is no date. Everybody's saying, well, when will the computers be able to do everything we can do? There is no date. Some people say it's today. It's already happened. There are laws in place to keep it from happening. One of the reasons that Biden was kind of put out was because he was blocking a lot of things. He was blocking AI. He was blocking automated trucks. He was blocking drones. Now, of course, you can say that the knee-jerk reaction to say, well, you shouldn't block anything. But the reality is, when I think particularly with automated driving, and you start to see like we have Waymo here in Atlanta, it's been in Phoenix, and it's in several cities now. Drivers make up 25% of the U.S. economy. 1 in 4 people drives for a living. That's all they do. 1 in 4. When driving goes away, the world collapses. That's it.
So is it inevitable? Is it inevitable that driving?
It's being stopped.
Thank you.
Cars can drive themselves today. The only reason why we have, we haven't gone 100% because it's safer. I mean, all the data is in. Automated cars are 10 times safer than cars driven by people. It's actually doesn't even make sense to make people drive when they don't want to drive, and they kill themselves and they kill other people.
To piggyback on that, there was a time I had a meeting at Verizon, and they called all the workers in, basically telling us we were losing our job, but not today, but we were losing it to technology. They said, the future is going to be where cell phones will not look like the way it looks now, because everybody is running at a different speed. In order for autonomous driving, for you to be able to call your car from your phone, I can't be on the iPhone 16, you're on the iPhone 13, this person's on an Android, and none of them can communicate on what their car is doing. They need to have one main central place with a main processor where every device is connected to at the same speed to make autonomous driving work. You cannot have 3 different companies, which means there have to be some kind of merger between Apple and Android so all autonomous cars can speak the same language. And now they can know where they're going, right? Hold on, I'm gonna give you the phone. Let me get this last part out.
I got a good one for you.
Write it down, because I'm gonna get this part out. Let me give you right back.
Go ahead.
It has to know where the cars are going. So once that and I'll go ahead, because I forgot what happened now. I know there's another piece to the component. The mergers of the autonomous of the cell phone companies has to happen in order for autonomous driving. And with that, they're going to take us into the era of the average person no longer needing a driver's license. We will be in a world where driver's license will not exist because you will not be driving. The whole thing with insurance, health insurance, life insurance, car insurance is to prevent it from happening altogether. There you go. The floor is yours, brother.
Just Google real quick, Japanese car merger.
Japanese. Tell us about it, because me and you can see it, but talk about it.
Nissan, Honda, and Mitsubishi merged like yesterday.
Oh, wow. Yep. It's inevitable. A world.
Just what you were talking about.
On electric cars.
Just what you were talking about is kind of like, they all have to be on the same system, because the things are going away, and you're probably going to see it here too. And I don't know if it's going to be if Ford and Chevrolet could ever merge.
It's going to. It takes one. All it takes is one.
Right. And so now you have Dodge. Definitely Dodge, Chevrolet.
Wow.
Now they merge. Yeah. So now you have one car company. That maybe Tesla just buy them all. I don't know. And it's just Tesla, which wouldn't surprise me. And so, yes, I agree with you 1,000,000%. But however it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years. And part of, with Trump, and now, his boy is who? Elon Musk.
Elon, the real president.
Elon Musk is running the whole digital transformation, like the crypto thing, the space program. I mean, all this stuff. Now that he's got the president's ear, between him and Mark Andreessen and a couple other techie guys, Yeah, it's just gonna move a million miles an hour. AI, all the stuff, literally has been slowed down for 10 years because they know what's going to happen once this AI comes, once this tech really hits its full stride. Jobs as we know it will likely go away,
There you
right?
go.
Right.
And
And
people
so
got to
nobody wants to be the president when you have 30% unemployment, right? 30% unemployment is technically a depression.
yes,
So that's why they didn't block. And so now that block goes away, Trump doesn't care as much because he can't run again anyway. He's not even
exactly.
a Republican. He don't care about the Republican Party. He wants to be president. So it's not like he's like
Woo!
I'm gonna fall on the sword so the Republican Party can be strong. Yay, brand new party. No, he is like I'm gonna do what I think is best
Best
for
for him.
for him. Basically, best for
So
him. If everybody else makes some money, good.
it's all about money. And he can't be a billionaire. He can't be comfortable being a single billionaire, one or two, sitting around billionaires who got 30 and 40 billion. So his goal, which is obvious, to make as much money as he can in this 4 years. And I always tell people over and over, start looking and investing into this tech. Invest into the market. Start learning about crypto because everything you doing in your job or whatever you're thinking about is not the way to wealth anymore. That's
Yeah,
not going to be it. It's going to be that. And this man here, it's really going to take I'm not talking about Trump. We think he's the threat. This guy, Elon, is going to push things so far and so fast ahead where he can be the first one to have autonomous trucks and autonomous
oh yeah,
driving and all of this and push others down. And now you have to say to yourself, well, is this going to come at the cost of other people's lives? You look at the other companies that are moving tech forward. He's going to really stifle their growth for him to be beneficial. The Waymo against his company, against Tesla. Tesla will be doing autonomous driverless car
yeah.
sharing while you're not using your car. They're going to be picking up fares. How does that impact Waymo? How's that going to impact them with their service? I did a whole piece on how we have to watch the position of how he's aligning himself to put us in jeopardy, bro.
Yeah, but
Got
we're in a world of hurt. So we're going into, and this, you're not going to hear this, and I know you're going to push back against me because I don't know the right answer either. We're going into a post money world. Now,
I agree.
what does that mean, right? Post money, right? Money, your money is no good here, right? There has to be other types of trade. And you're thinking probably, well, yeah, crypto. Crypto is going away. I'm gonna tell you why.
Mm,
Quantum computing.
it's a problem.
Crypto is only as good as its ability to prevent you from cracking the code. Right?
Yep.
You can't. The only reason crypto works is because it takes a billion years to hack. Right? A quantum computer can hack Bitcoin in 5 minutes. Somebody can hack your wallet in minutes with a crypto computer. Only thing stopping it is crypto is not quite reliable yet. We're still a few years away. But once they crack that, somebody's going to get that. And not only, and so maybe they won't hack your wallet, but your wallet will be useless because nobody wants it because it can be
Mm.
hacked now. The only reason it's valuable is because it's unhackable. Once Bitcoin can be hacked, it's useless.
I agree.
It's like having a bank vault with with no code on it. Just put it on the street. Yeah, it's useless. How much you
So
have to
don't
pay?
ask you. So don't ask you because you just said it. So don't ask you what's the solution there, right? I don't know the answer. What's the solution? Because quantum
Oh,
computing, Ray, I believe and I invested in four major companies. If people look at these tickers, they've been going through the roof. What's the
sure.
solution?
Yeah, the solution is, I mean, is that quantum computing is going to fundamentally change our existence. Like you can't even imagine. I mean, our existence, all the things we take for granted, uncertainty, risk, um, health,
Mm, mm,
everything is solved now, right? When you can take the reason, With a quantum computer will be able to tell you the exact day you're going to die, right? Imagine that. I mean, yeah, you'll be able to figure that out. They can go into your actual DNA and look at your telomeres and tell, boom, with enough data, I can tell you the day you're going to die, right? And from what? And so, um, yeah, it's staggering when that thing works. Now, it may not ever get there, but it can answer every question in an instant. So it works so much differently than a regular computer, because a regular computer, while they're getting faster and faster, it's still regular computers, and there's still a limited amount of time. Just physics, the speed of light limits how fast a computer can work. It can't work fast in the speed of light, right? So
Right.
it's really fast. Quantum computers aren't limited by the speed of light, right? So because it's doing things, going into the multiverse, which is crazy. The quantum computers actually go to the multiverse and come back with your answer, right? So whole other universes,
Damn.
right? It's a whole mind-blowing shit the way they work. They don't even work on our universal principles. That's why they're so hard to do, right? That's why everything has to be so quiet. It has to be because they are um, doing some real shit that should be impossible. They're bending the laws of physics. Um, but I said all that to say that once the quantum computers become relatively error-free, to a point where, yeah, they'll know what the weather is going to be. They'll, like 10 years from now, like accurately, like shit, like all the variables are in there. And so
Here,
once you put all that stuff in, the world changes fundamentally.
here's another thing with quantum computing, right? For those like I want people, because I went down the rabbit hole. Go on YouTube and go into quantum computing and Elon Musk. He
Mhm.
has a place out in Texas where he bought thousands of acres, and they're working and building his quantum computer. And the problem with quantum computing also is that the heat that it generates. So they're
Mhm.
running tons of water trying to keep it cool long enough to solve a problem. That's one of the biggest issues. And I want you to look at NVIDIA, and also Google just released Willow, their first version of a quantum chip. Start going down that rabbit hole and you will understand what Ray is talking about. And now you will also understand why crypto is so much in jeopardy about it, which I still believe you still need certain things until you get to a certain place.
Yeah.
Like paper dollar was useful until crypto and blockchains will always be useful. And then quantum's going to come along and 1% change the game. But until then, there's no reason for nobody to throw their hands up and say, oh, fuck it. Since this is
Yeah.
going to be it, I just need to be broke. You need to figure out your investments into the tech, into the space, understanding and learning it so you can make enough money to be prepared for the
Mhm.
rapid changes that will come. Because I agree 1000%. Like even in the tech space, when I would hear people say, oh, yeah, learn coding, you'll be set for life. No, you're creating computers to start creating codes that computers will generate
Yeah.
making codes for other computers. That's my thought. But here's a breakdown of the tech sector, right? Since I want to pull up stuff. Like Intel is laying off 15,000 employees, 15% of their workforce, cutting $10 billion in costs, which will now go on the books and make their stock go up. We got to
Yeah.
understand job cuts bring money on the books, rising the stocks. Cisco is laying off 7% of their workforce. Microsoft is laying off a percentage of their workforce. EA Electronic Arts are laying off their workforce.
Yeah.
Like once you look at these people in these jobs going, you're going to start seeing more $1 trillion companies because the books are going to balloon. The stocks
Mhm.
are going to balloon. I want people to look at Netflix. Netflix went from a company where the stock literally was dying, transformed what we thought it was, and now their stock is almost $1,000, and they're getting into TV. They got the NFL. They have Beyonce perform. See, we have to stop looking at things for face value. Tesla wasn't about being a car. It was about being a data company. It was about storing information. Him buying Twitter wasn't about buying a social media. It was about him buying a platform to control media and to create his own version of a banking and exchanging of currency system. That's where SpaceX wasn't bought to be just sending people into space. It's going to become a new version of transportation. We start looking at that, like,
Yep.
for example, Lucent just did a deal with Volkswagen and Amazon. They're going to reinvent the way UPS has been looking the same since we were kids in the brown truck. That's going to be gone in the future. But Gary Ray, I could keep going. The floor is yours. Give me some of that.
Oh man, dude, you're hitting on the head. But I'm gonna take this opportunity to float a concept of where I think we're gonna go, and this is kind of a pie in the sky. Moving from a competitive economy to a collaborative economy,
Mm,
right? Which is
mm,
really where we started, right? When you think about when humans started, they didn't have money, right? The concept is foreign, right? Like I have this big rock, so I'm richer than you because you have a small rock. It's stupid. But if you like to hunt and you're good at hunting, you bring home the meat. I like to garden. I'm good at garden. I can make the vegetables. I like to paint. I can make things beautiful, right? And so people lived in smaller groups. The Industrial Revolution brought everybody together. We have cities of 8 million people, right? Which is not a natural way for humans to live. We have been kind of fooled into thinking this is the way we're supposed to be, and we're not. You know, we're built. There's actually a number of Dunbar's number that shows we are built to live in groups of 150 people, right? That's where we maximize.
wow, Ray.
150 people in a tribe. And that's psychological. Like this is psychological science. About 150 people that we can have social connections with. And with that number, within 150 people, you can get everything that you need done. Right. And you can provide but you have to bring value. So you get value, you get purpose, you get value, whatever it is that you do. Maybe you just make people laugh, right? That you're bringing value. Like Ray don't do shit, but he's funny, right? We actually all know that cat, right? And so, but we don't let each other die, right? You know, I think I remember living in New York, and yeah, I saw a guy dying on the street. He had fallen jumped out a window, whatever, and he was dead. And I remember thinking, and I was probably in my 20s, and I walked by,
Mm,
and I was like, and what resonated with me is the fact that I really didn't care. And I was like,
mm.
has New York done this to me? Like, damn. So, I was like, sucks to be him. And I walk by and I think about how the city living kind of makes us like that. And, we moved away from our communities. We've become so disconnected and we don't have those connections. And with those connections, you really don't need money, right? Like I wouldn't let you die. Right. You have something you can do for me. I have something I can do for you. Now, it wasn't the most efficient system. All right. I know that it wasn't efficient, but it worked. And it worked for a lot of centuries, until this industrial revolution. And now we have a different thing, which works, but that's going away now. So I hope what can happen is that we find a way to work together and help each other out of the dire straits that will likely come, right? There's going to be a number of people, and you pointed it out, a number of people are going to be homeless. There are way more people who need a place to live than there are people who are willing to build places to live. And so at some point, there are going to be a lot of people outside, right? Are they going to work together? Are we going to work together? Are we going to, at some point, say, this is let's find a group and we all build a house. We build something ourselves to live in. I don't know. And it's not a perfect world. I don't know. It's not perfect, but some form of that, some form of collaboration where you are celebrated and rewarded and incentivized to help somebody as opposed to being rewarded and incentivized by being selfish, um, I think is going to be a better way to live. And it's more, and forgive, and I know you probably don't have all Black listeners, but I think that is more of an African mentality, right? It's
Yeah.
more of a, or, just an indigenous people's mentality, right? I remember hearing one time, it struck me that, we always wonder why the Indians would sell Manhattan for a quarter, right? Because they didn't understand that you could buy land. The concept of somebody owning a piece of ground was completely foreign to them, right? When you think about it, right? It actually doesn't make sense that some man who's going to live and die owns a piece of this permanent land and no one else can drink from this lake. No one else can feed their horse on this grass. No
Mm.
one else can eat this apple off this tree because you have drawn an invisible line around this area. By and large, we've gone into which is really weird, right? But it's intentional. You know, if you don't care about the next man, then the government is control, right? So if I know I can count on my brother, I don't need the government, right? But because I know I can't count on my brother, like if I'm hungry, like, and I think about it, I saw recently, and I have not been, but when you go to like UAE and Dubai, their stores have a section where the food is free.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's free. That's the law. 10% of the food in any store is free, right? Now, but because you're not selfish, I wouldn't take it. If you can afford it, don't get the free food,
Right, exactly.
right? Don't get the free food. Don't do that. Just don't do that, right? That's for the people who can't, who need a little help right now. They just go there and get the free food. No, don't have to steal. No harm, no foul, right? So the part of social media, to your point, is that it creates a sense of lack, that I'm not doing as well as everybody else. Everybody else is doing better than me. It feels like everybody, because all you see is the highlight reel. So it feels like everybody's
Yeah.
doing well. And except for me, nobody's doing bad off. And so I'm doing bad off. That entitles me to get mine, however I got to get it. If I got to lie, cheat, steal, it's part of the culture. And unfortunately, I hate to point fingers, but it does come back to this kind of Eurocentric, mentality of take, take, take. There's not enough, and so hopefully we'll be able to get back to an Afrocentric um, mentality of you're born enough, you have enough,
Mm.
you have food in your belly, you have air in your lungs, you have a roof over your head. What you complaining about? That's all you get. That's all you need, really. You're not gonna
Social
die,
media makes you think you don't have enough, though, no matter what you have.
right? If I don't have a Ferrari, I'm suffering. You're not. You're
Right?
not.
Look, man, I know you are very, very well versed in a lot of things, and books are one of them. I see you have some.
Yeah.
I do a book of the week, and I want you to recommend a book for people about this topic. If you happen to have read one, know
Yeah.
one, a recommendation. I'm gonna put that picture of that book right where on here on the screen when he recommends that book. I'm gonna
Oh,
put it there. If you have something you want to recommend for the people,
I don't have anything on that topic particularly, but I do have
uh,
a book I'm reading right now. I'm reading Inner Engineering by Sadhguru.
that book will
Um,
be right here.
yeah,
Please.
yep. Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. It's really, really giving me a different perspective on a lot of things. So on how I eat, sleep, live, everything. I mean, it's just a whole from the life from the inside, and it's I found it to be very good.
All right, ladies and
Cool.
gentlemen, that book recommendation from Ray Abrams. His link will be in the bio. The link to the book will be in the bio. Follow my brother. Ray is the truth, man. And I'm going to bring him on a lot more to help me navigate these thoughts in my brain. This was a well needed conversation. I want to thank y'all for tuning in, checking us out on Eye of the Storm Conversation with Friends. Subscribe, follow, all that other good stuff. But I'm just glad you're here. Like, whatever,
Same here,
man.
man.
I
Same
need
here.
y'all to continuously, to never forget, to always seek knowledge.
There you
Peace.
go. Peace. Have a good one.